to Dynamic Sport Adventures. Today we're going to show you a little method on how to make birch oil. Basically I'm going to have a tin can with a solid bottom on it. I've dug a hole already, and that tin can with a top cut out of it is going to be placed in the hole. Once we do place that in the hole, we're going to take our material and bury that around that, fill that up. Try not to get any dirt or anything inside it. Pack that dirt around that tin can and bury it in the dirt. Now that I got enough around there, I had collected a bunch of birch bark. I have some trees that that are down on my property. I peeled the birch bark off and filled this can. It's an old paint can that's been burned out. On the bottom I poked a hole from the inside out, and one little hole in the bottom. So what we're going to do with that is, once we filled that up with our birch bark, we put the lid on it and seal the lid. Birch oil was used many years for oiling guns. The British Army used to use it to oil their guns. What I'm going to show you today is how to kind of treat an old wooden handle on an axe, also some leather, and they also used to treat some rope to waterproof them. So we're going to show you how to make some birch oil today. So first thing we need to do is get a little fire going. We'll see if I can get a fire going here. A little bit of cattail and birch bark. Let's see if that'll take off. Okay, once we get our fire going here, and hopefully it'll stay going for me. Once we get it going good, we're going to take this tin can, now that I sealed the top of it, filled with birch bark, we're going to place that right on top of that, and try to get that hole that we made in the bottom right over top of that tin can we buried in the ground. Now that we got our fire going, we're going to build that fire all around the can, and we're going to let that burn for a while. That's going to cook down the birch bark, and the oils are going to drip down through the hole into the can that's on underneath the ground, underneath this can. So we'll edit the video, we'll get the fire going good here. I'll get a fire burned up around this, and we'll cook her down, and then we'll show you what the oil looks like once it's cooked down. So let me get this fire going. I'll build it up good, I'll stack it around this can, I'll get a fire going good around the can, and then we'll be back. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome back. So we let the fire burn down. You saw we put the can in the ground, birch bark with a hole in the bottom of this paint can, birch bark inside it with a sealed top, fire around it with that smaller tin can buried in the ground. This bigger tin can sitting on top of it, building the fire around it with that birch bark in there, and that hole in the bottom of this can will let the oils drip down from our birch oil. So let's see if we actually got to work. We'll brush this gently out of the way. We're just going to set this bigger can off to the side once we get the hot coals out of the way. See if we can get the smoke to go away from the camera. Gently lift this off, exposing the tin can we had underneath. There's our tin can we had buried in the ground. See if I can get that out with these pliers. And we actually got quite a bit of oil. So let's see if you can see that. You know, when you're doing this, caution, be very, very careful. Obviously it's going to be really hot. Hopefully they don't break the jar going into a cold jar. So there's our birch oil. So you take birch bark inside this can. Let's see if I can open the can up for you to see what birch bark ends up being. You can just see that birch bark in there now, just rendered into basically char dust. I don't know if you can see that or not. And there we have our birch oil. Now birch oil can be used for a lot of things. They used to take some of the old hemp rope and some of the other different kinds of rope, jute and whatnot, and they actually used to coat the ropes, and that would actually waterproof the ropes and make them a little bit stronger. So that's the one thing they used to do it with. The other thing is they used to be able to treat some leather with it. Here's a piece of just regular rawhide leather, and I'll just pour a little bit out onto that. And you can basically see what that's going to do is it's going to soak into the leather, and it's going to treat that leather. I got a little rag here, and you can see what that'll do. That'll treat that leather and waterproof it once it's soaked in. You can do the other side. Let me see if I can get a little bit in there. And that'll just soak into that leather. The more you do that, and that'll waterproof leather. You can see how dark it'll make it. The other thing is, you can see I got an old axe handle here. It's pretty dry, so before it gets too far, you can actually, we'll take a little bit of our oil, and you actually will be able to treat some of your wood with it, your wooden handles on your knives, any of your wooden handles on your axes and whatnot. You can see what that'll do. That'll bring that back to life. And that'll coat that. Waterproof leather boots and whatnot, what they used to use, moccasins and everything. The Indians used to use it for different things. If you took this and you now take that and you actually boil it down more to make it a tar, it becomes an adhesive, and they could use it for patching up birch bark canoes, holes and different things. It'll turn into a kind of a pitch and an adhesive and dry. It'll be moldable and tacky and tarry if you boil that down now even more. But that's basically how to make birch oil out of birch bark. Hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of self-reliance skills. Thanks for all the new YouTube watchers and subscribers. And we're going to expand some of the stuff we're doing, obviously, with a little bit of self-reliance and some of the bushcraft stuff we do. But that's how to boil down some birch oil out of birch bark. Thanks for watching. Happy hiking. Get outdoors.